YouTube, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we got a Steve Nash build. Yes, indeed. This does get shades of Steve Nash, as well as actually Trae Young and Steph Curry. So you can even consider this like a Curry build or a Trae Young build or something like that. Regardless of how you feel, this is an insane build for you guys. A great playmaker that can score on all three levels, and it's insane. Obviously, we go ahead and take a look at it, and yeah, as you can see, the playmaking is pretty fucking good, pretty on par, and the shooting just in general is really good. We got some finishing with our 85 driving layup as well. And then we also have a little bit of defense, kind of like the last build that we did, which was the Jamal Crawford build. If you guys seen that, you guys will understand the fact that, hey, this is kind of like the thresholds that we like to have for defense. For like, if we want to make sure that we have some defense, we go with the 75 perimeter defense so we can get clamps and all that stuff. And then the 72 steals for glove, as well as interceptor and right stick ripper. So if you guys have seen that last video with the Jamal Crawford, I talked more in depth on it, so I'm not going to go too crazy with it. If you guys want to hear about, these thresholds a little bit more, go ahead, check out that video. But yeah, it's a crazy build, 6'4". I know it's not 100% accurate to Steve Nash because Steve Nash is actually like 6'3", and not 6'4". But I made this 6'4" just to be like one of those kind of like point guard meta kind of builds. Because the whole idea when I first came up with this build was not for it to be a Steve Nash build. The fact that it came out as shades of Steve Nash, and when I actually went and researched his build and all that stuff, I realized how close I actually came to being Steve Nash. And when I actually like took a look at like all the stats and everything on this build and compared it to Steve Nash in general, like just like his playstyle and everything, it kind of just fit the mold. So I just in return called this the Steve Nash build. So anyway, let's go ahead, let's go through everything and talk about it. 85 driving layup though, practically the same reason as before. Gives us Giant Slayer, which is really good because we're 6'4". Float game is on gold. We get Bunny Acrobat on gold as well. We get that Scooper and Pro Touch badges on Hall of Fame. We get Slithery on at least silver. On this build though, we don't have a lot of strength, and that's mainly due to us having so much of our attributes being into shooting and playmaking. So it's not like we're going to have like a lot of, driving and trying to finish over people with Fearless Finisher and Giant Slayer. But we do have that ability to get layups and, get the layups off if we get the open lane. And especially if they're late to closing out on those layups, then we're going to have like an easier time with the Slithery and the Giant Slayer. But the whole concept is not really us, trying to force the drives or anything. Meanwhile, it's like with us having the strength on the Jamal Crawford build, because we are, a bit taller and we are in the shooting guard position on that particular build. But this one here in particular, we're not going to have the strength, mainly because it's like we are focused more on passing. We are focused more on shooting than we are with Jamal Crawford, which Jamal Crawford is all about being the flashy, ball handler that's able to shoot the mid range and shoot the three ball, but mostly being able to be the playmaker and being able to be a shot creator rather than just being all around just playmaking and shooting with a little bit of defense and being able to score in the paint, and trying to force that. With Jamal Crawford, we're able to use that ability of our strength and our height more to use Fearless Finisher to get to the rim more aggressively than we can with Steve Nash. But Steve Nash isn't all about going to the rim, because there's plenty of times where he would go to the rim and then he would pass out with like a no look pass, especially the one, like obviously like the one clip, the one notable clip from Steve Nash where he did the no look, behind the back pass, where he just passed it behind him, over the shoulder behind him, as he was driving into the basket for the wide open three in the corner. So that clip in particular is just kind of what makes the whole idea where it's just like Steve Nash can shoot threes. We know that he's an incredible playmaker, an incredible scorer. Mostly on shooting, he's not going to be the best in terms of like driving and doing layups and whatnot. He's not Kyrie Irving. He's not John Wall. He's definitely not Jamal Crawford when it comes to being able to just score on the inside and be crafty on the inside. He's crafty, but not with his ball handling as much as with his passing. So with that being said, it's like, yes, we do have the 85 driving layup, but we don't have the strength to get fearless finisher. And with shooting, though, we do not get the 92 mid-range that we do on the other build to get the Hall of Fame Mini Magician. And why? And also, with a Space Creator also needing like a super high rating as well, no point in trying to go any higher than what we have it now, because the 91, however, does give us that Hall of Fame guard up, which is very, very good. Hall of Fame guard up, super, super strong, especially when you are playing against AIs, because if you guys remember from 2K23, if I remember properly, that it was one of the best badges to make sure that you had when going up against AIs, whether you're playing, the career games, or whether you match up against an AI in the rec or something like that. Then you kind of have like a little bit of an advantage on taking shots, because guard up typically would proc more on AIs than actual players. I don't know if that's the case in this particular game, but it's there just in case, and it is a pretty decent badge. Obviously, it says increases ability to make jump shots when defenders fail to properly contest. So if they run up to you and are not playing hands up, guard up will more than likely proc. Or if they close out super late and they get like a just like an open, like you get like an open shot, not a wide open, just because of that failed late contest to get a full-fledged contest on the shot, then that's also when it should proc as well. But the 92 3-pointers, same reason as I talked about before when it comes to animations, but in this particular version of it, other than just having the animations with the 92 rating, we get Hall of Fame Claymore as well as silver limitless range. So we're able to shoot from distance with this build, man. You're able to, get an easy look, whether it's off of a screen or you ISO and you get like an open look, especially like on the hash, or if you do like a catch and shoot on the hash, whatever the case may be, you're able to shoot from distance, especially with the silver limitless range, which is very, very good. So having the 92 3-pointer is able to give you some range, able to get some, easier shots, I guess you can say, from a little bit further out. So it's not going to be, as annoying to try and take shots because you catch the ball and you end up being too far because of the pass animation and the catch. So now it's like, even if you're a little far off from the line with this build, you can still shoot the 3-ball from a little bit of extra distance, even though you caught the ball a little bit further out than you originally wanted to, but it's still pretty solid. With the 90 free throw as well, just so we can get gold free points, because we know that Steve Nash was a very, very effective shooter all around. I mean, his shooting percentages were really good. If I recall, he was, one of the better efficient shooters in the league, eventually reaching 50, 40, 90, if I recall correctly. But I definitely do know that Steve Nash obviously is one of, if not the most efficient scorers, practically like in his era. So obviously we wanted to show that in the free throw as well, with the super high high rating on the free throw as well. But if I also recall correctly, he doesn't reach to 50, 40, 90 throughout his entire career, though. I do believe it's like 49, 41 and 90 or something like that, but he's like pretty damn close to reaching 50, 40, 90 in his like entire career, which is pretty damn insane. But one thing that I definitely do know is that he did like one, I do believe it was definitely one of his MVP seasons where he did get 50, 40, 90. If not both times, one of them at least, if not both times. So If he didn't get it both times, he got it at least one of them, but I know that he definitely did 50, 40, 90. So we shown that here with the 90 free throw, having a good mid-range, having a really good three-pointer, and being able to drive and get layups as well. So we're practically showing that here. But not only that, but he was just absolutely insane, averaging about, I want to say like 8 or 9, I want to say, assists per game throughout his entire career on average. So it's really, really good that we show that the pass accuracy is there as well. Obviously, we know like some of the greatest passers of all time, Magic Johnson, John Stockton, even up there. Steve Nash is a name that gets thrown up there as well. But I definitely do believe that Steve Nash is up there top 5 at least, maybe even top 3, and I would probably put him at number 3, honestly, because Magic is up there, John Stockton is up there, man. But Steve Nash is definitely one of the best playmakers of all time, obviously, amongst those that I have mentioned as well. So when it comes to pass accuracy, we gave him the 91 pass accuracy, which does give him Hall of Fame special delivery, gives gold needle threader, which is very, very solid, and silver bailout. The silver bailout, obviously, very, very important because, as I mentioned before, with the notorious clip that I mentioned earlier, obviously having bailout as high as possible is pretty fucking solid. So making sure to reach that 91 threshold just to get the needle threader upgraded as well. The special delivery, even though it's not 100% important, but is really good for the flashy passes. And also, getting that bailout upgrade to silver is pretty damn good for a threshold. Ball handling being a 92, he's not 100% the best ball handler, which is why we didn't go with the 93 plus route, which 93 plus usually gives you, some other badges such as killer combos on gold, and, being able to get ankle breaker on Hall of Fame as well. So, the reason why we didn't go for the 93 is because A, he's not 100% the best ball handler to be able to break ankles every single time or to use killer combos like that, but he still was a good ball handler. So 92 is a really, really good threshold because it does give that gold unpluckable, which is very, very important. So we got the gold unpluckable. We have, reached a really good threshold just in general. I don't really think it's 100% necessary to get the 93 ball handling for the ankle breaker and killer combos. If you guys want to, sure, I guess. But for how I made this build, I definitely do believe that it just made a lot of sense in this regards as well, because it's still a really good threshold to be playable. It's still a pretty solid rating in general, and it makes sense. And then we also went with the 83 speed with ball. Yes, indeed. I would say 83 is pretty accurate. Maybe like a little bit higher, but just in general, I definitely do believe it is very, very solid because of the thresholds that we get and are available on this game, where obviously we're not going to get the 83 acceleration to get blow by on gold. I don't really think he gets it in reality. Hyperdrive, though, is pretty solid. Speed booster is, it's there on silver, so he's not going to get the biggest speed boost, but he's going to be able to get a good enough boost to where he can possibly drag somebody else in, because it's like, oh shit, he's pretty fast, and then you just kick out to somebody as well. And the triple strike, obviously, being here, I mean, it's gold. That's going to be as high as it's going to go with this, because of just needing an 89 speed with ball and an 85 excel, so it's pretty insane. But next, we talk about the perimeter defense and steal, which I already mentioned, and we go down to the physicals, because we get the 82 speed, which it gives you that hyperdrive on gold, and then we already have the speed booster on silver because of the 81 rating, so good threshold there. The 75 excel, which gives you that triple strike on gold, so we practically just increased it until we got triple strike, and then obviously we have everything else that's just pretty damn solid for what it is. The strength being only at 45, just so we can get clamps at least, so we can get a little bit of defense going there. but not high enough to get fearless finisher or physical handles, because obviously with us being a smaller guard, we're trying to be more crafty than trying to really just like post up or, you know, try and get a lot of contact. And that's why in this game we're just using our playmaking ability to try and, you know, use all these crafty dribble moves to get ourselves some space, to either get a shot or get a drive or to create an open look for, you know, ourselves or somebody else just in general. But that's practically the whole scenario there, where it's like, okay, yeah, we're not going to be able to, you know, take like a big beating and being bumped a lot, but we can use our dribble moves to try and create space for us, and that's practically like the key thing there. The vertical also really isn't that high, doesn't give us aerial wizard or anything like that, nothing too crazy. And then the stamina being maxed out, because why the fuck not? We get gold handles for days, we get workhorse, whatever. But obviously, we get the shades of Phoenix Suns, the Hawks, the Golden State Warriors. We get Steve Nash, Trae Young, Steph Curry. I do believe this is really, really solid. So if you're looking for an offense-heavy point, which is exactly what Steve Nash's build is on one of the rosters, I mean, number 13 for this build, which I used at number 13, and I do like face creations and everything like that. So I did the face creation for the build that I brought out. He's got number 13. All these like player builds, I will use their actual number and their face creations and all that stuff just to make it a little bit easier. And I will show you guys that in like another video. But here, offense heavy point, he has one of his builds being called an offense heavy point, so it made sense. And we got the shades of, which is pretty fucking solid. And it definitely does feel like Steve Nash, and it's a fun build. This is a fun build to play on, especially in a 5-stack where you have like a lot of good players on the team. So you can either be the hot hand and be like the main scorer, or you can just be like an insane playmaker, drawing a lot of attention to you because of you being able to score from all 3 levels pretty efficiently, and then be able to get some open guys. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this build in the comment section below. Make sure you leave a like, comment your feedback, and if you guys want any specific players for me to try and make builds of, maybe try and get the shades of, or, you know, just make a build based off of a certain player in general, whether you get the shades of or not, let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Later, everybody.